This is the Tales Keeper, and tonight I'm going to read you a story about my grandpa left me one rule about the woods. If you enjoy original horror stories inspired by internet legends, don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's begin. My grandfather spent nearly his entire life living alone in a small cabin deep in the forests of northern Michigan. It wasn't because he disliked people. He simply preferred the quiet. The nearest neighbor lived several miles away, and beyond the cabin stretched endless pine trees that seemed to swallow the horizon. As a child, I loved spending summers there. We fished in the creek behind the cabin, hiked narrow game trails, and sat on the porch every evening while the sun disappeared behind the trees. Looking back, those are some of the happiest memories I have. But there was one thing Grandpa never joked about. Every evening, just before sunset, he'd stop whatever we were doing and look toward the forest. Then he'd remind me of the same rule. Never whistle after the sun goes down. I asked him why more times than I could count. He never answered. He only smiled, shook his head, and said, "Some things hear better than people do." At the time, I thought it was just another old woodsman's superstition. I wish I had believed him. The older I became, the less often I visited. College turned into work. Work turned into adulthood. Years slipped by before I realized I hadn't seen Grandpa in almost 4 years. Then came the phone call. He had passed away peacefully in his sleep. The funeral was small. A handful of old friends attended, along with a few distant relatives I barely recognized. After everyone left, the lawyer explained that Grandpa had left the cabin to me. I wasn't sure what to do with it. Eventually, I decided to spend one weekend there to sort through his belongings before putting the property up for sale. The cabin looked exactly as I remembered. The faded rocking chair still sat on the porch. His fishing poles leaned beside the front door. Even the old wind chimes still swayed in the evening breeze. Everything felt frozen in time. Inside, I packed books, folded old blankets, and boxed decades of memories. It wasn't until the second evening that I found something unusual. Hidden inside Grandpa's desk was a folded piece of paper. Only one sentence had been written across it. "If you hear whistling after sunset, don't answer it." For some reason, that message unsettled me more than anything else I'd found all weekend. That night I couldn't sleep. The forest was unusually quiet. No owls, no crickets, not even the wind. The silence felt unnatural, as though every living thing had suddenly decided to hold its breath. Trying to distract myself, I stepped outside onto the porch. The last orange glow of sunset had already disappeared. The woods stood as black silhouettes beneath the moonlight. Without thinking, I began humming an old tune Grandpa used to whistle while fishing. Halfway through, I caught myself. I laughed under my breath. I'm really letting an old note get to me. Then I finished the melody with a single whistle. The sound echoed into the trees. For several long seconds, nothing happened. I shook my head and turned toward the cabin. Then another whistle answered from somewhere deep within the forest. It wasn't the same tune. It wasn't even close, but it matched my exact pitch perfectly. Every hair on my arm stood up. I listened. Silence. Then another whistle, closer this time. I told myself it had to be another person. Maybe another hunter. Maybe someone camping nearby. I grabbed a flashlight and walked toward the edge of the tree line. The beam swept across trunks, fallen branches, and thick undergrowth. Nothing. Then I noticed something that made my stomach tighten. The flashlight reflected off what looked like white fabric, far between two trees, standing completely still. I raised the light higher. The shape vanished. I blinked. Maybe I'd imagined it. As I lowered the flashlight, another whistle drifted through the darkness. This one came from my left. I turned. Nothing. Another whistle. Behind me. I spun around. Still nothing. The sound circled me without footsteps, without broken branches, without any sign that someone was moving. Then my flashlight flickered. Once, twice, 3 times. When the beam finally steadied, someone was standing among the pines, far enough away that I couldn't make out every detail, but I could see enough. A black suit, long arms hanging motionless at its sides. A pale face with no features at all. It wasn't hiding. It wasn't approaching. It was simply watching. I don't remember deciding to run. My body moved before my mind did. I slammed the cabin door behind me and locked it. Outside, the whistling stopped. That somehow frightened me even more. Morning couldn't come fast enough. When sunlight finally filled the windows, I convinced myself I'd suffered some kind of stress-induced hallucination until I walked outside. There were footprints surrounding the cabin, not animal tracks, not boots, bare footprints, each one impossibly long, each spaced far enough apart that whatever made them should have been running. Yet the ground showed no signs of haste, only deliberate steps, circling the cabin again and again and again. I packed everything into my truck within the hour. Before leaving, I searched the cabin one last time. Inside Grandpa's bedroom closet was an old leather journal. Most of it described weather, fishing trips, and repairs around the property. But the final pages were different. They all spoke about the same thing. The whistles, the silence, the faceless man in the woods. One entry caught my attention. It never comes for everyone. It only comes after you answer. Another page had only 4 words. I answered once, too. The last page wasn't even finished. The writing ended halfway through a sentence. If you're reading this, it finally found. Nothing followed. The ink simply stopped. I sold the cabin 3 months later. The new owners never contacted me. I assumed they were happy there, until the property appeared on the local news. The couple had vanished. No signs of forced entry, no struggle. Their truck remained parked outside. The only thing investigators mentioned was that neighbors reported hearing someone whistling in the woods the night before they disappeared. They never found the couple, or their bodies. Sometimes I still think about Grandpa, about how many evenings he spent sitting on that porch, staring into the forest before reminding me of his only rule. I don't think he was protecting himself. I think he was protecting me. A few nights ago, I was organizing old family photos when I found a faded Polaroid from one of those summer vacations. Grandpa was standing beside me, smiling with a fishing rod in one hand. At first, everything looked normal. Then I noticed the tree line behind us, standing between the pines, was a tall man in a black suit, featureless, motionless, watching. I flipped the photo over. Written in Grandpa's handwriting were 6 words I had never seen before. It waits for the second whistle. I haven't whistled since, and I don't think I ever will. Some stories are fiction, others are simply waiting for someone to read them. This has been The Tales Keeper. Sleep carefully.